we have been joined by Bayo Atoyebe, our newspaper reviewer. Bayo, it's good to see you again today.
Thank you, Kirian. Good
You're
morning.
welcome.
Good morning, Yusuf Nadabo.
Good morning, Bayo. Welcome.
Good morning, Nigeria. Thank you.
What do you have, Kirian?
All right. Let's begin with the leadership newspaper.
Okay.
Leadership newspaper. From top to bottom. Mixed reactions trail FIRS 50% down payment on disputed tax. Details of that story is in page 4. Now, the lead story on the leadership newspaper this morning, 16 days after abduction, Islamia pupils fall sick. With their 3 riders, parents panic, raise funds through churches, mosques, as bandits reduce ransom to 150 million naira. We won't pay ransom, Niger government insists. IDPs reject local government chairman's rice gift. That sounds strange. All right, Nigeria won't break up despite challenges, according to Ganduje, the governor of Kano State. The story is on page 10. ISWAP frees UN staff, 9 others after 5 months. It's on page 10. Tour operators lament cancellation of 2021 Hajj. The story is also on page 10. 18 killed in Anambra and Plateau states. The story is on page 6. Shimbajo launches Dashmi Foundation. That's on page 9. Now, governors meet over legislature, judiciary autonomy today, as PDP governors accuse federal government of dragging country into bankruptcy. You can get details of that on page 7 of Leadership newspaper. Notable.
Okay, today on Daily Trust, we have the following stories. Forest scarcity, airlines worried as operational cost raises. Details of that on page 17. And how Fani Kayode linked me up with Nnamdi Kanu and Sari the was there talking, really. That's details on page 36. And on page 32, delegates to determine my successor, says Ganduje. The main story, the big story here on the front page of Daily Trust is, we are at the mercy of kidnappers. Emir of Zezo cries out. And he says 30 killed in Benue, that's the rider there. 30 killed in Benue, Plateau, and Niger State. Military gunships kill over 1,000 cows in Nasarawa on page 4, and the riders are others, farmers in disarray. Soldiers aware of Buhari shoot on sight order, says Autumn, Governor of Benue State. And then the Air Force says no persons, animals killed. And you can see vividly there the pictures of the cows that have been struck there. And that looks very unfortunate and sad. Bayo?
Yes. Well, thank you, Yusuf Nadabo. Let's start with the human interest story about 136 people of Tanko Islamia School, Tegina, who were abducted about 2 weeks ago. The parents are worried. The proprietor of the school too is worried. However, he's been in touch with the kidnappers, and he asked after his children, and they said they are all okay, except that a few of them have fallen ill. The parents are also very worried because they indicated that the children are falling sick, and the criminals are still insisting on ransom. They have, however, reduced their earlier demand of 200 million. They've lowered it to 150 million. But Niger State government says it is not going to pay ransom to criminals. Sadly, when he abducted these children, one 3-year-old child who could not cope with the pace when they were dragging them away died.
But how could these people take children 3 years? 4 years?
That is to tell you that these are not normal human beings.
They are not normal, really. They are not normal.
When you have so many youths who are under the influence of series of drugs and influences, then this is the kind of thing you get. In another positive development, however, Senior Protection Assistant under United Nations High Commission, Abubakar Idris, and 9 others have been released. They had been captured by Islamic State of West Africa province about 5 months ago. There had been series of negotiations which eventually led to their rescue. The Emir of Zazzau, Ambassador Nuhu Bamali, says the Zaria Emirate is under siege and residents are now are very vulnerable to abductors. The Emir made this call when the Commissioner of Internal Security and Home Affairs for Kaduna State, Samuel Arua, visited the Emir to condole him about what happened at the Nuhu Bamali Polytechnic. Incidentally, the Nuhu Bamali Polytechnic is named after the father of the Emir of Zazzau. And it has the Polytechnic there that criminals went there and abducted lecturers and students and shot two of them. One of them, unfortunately, died from the gunshot wound. Yeah. Meanwhile, the Kaduna State Police Command were able to foil a robbery attempt in Tudunwada. This happened at a place that is known as Jada Road. Intelligence information reached the police, and they were able to quickly get there. They were able to round up. They weren't able to arrest them, but in the shootout, the criminals ran away and left behind 24 rounds of ammunition and their vehicle, which they are using in operation. And in Oka, Bakassi boys, you remember them? This self-security gang that were proscribed some time ago, they are now back in the streets of Oka. Apparently, they say that their targets now are usually cult groups whose rivalry is causing serious unrest in the streets of Oka. Apparently, of recent, the activities of the indigenous people of Biafra and the Eastern Security Network has led a lot of void in security in that area. And with the failure of the institution of the Ebubeagu, which the governors instituted recently, Bakassi boys have now returned to the street to keep the criminals away. You now have a criminal...
who hired Bakassi boys? Who hired them? Who organized Bakassi boys?
Necessity becomes a mother
so
of invention.
A group of people can
the
just
threat
come
of security
out. So
apparently overwhelming the people.
I think it's an organization that went underground some time ago. You remember them?
So a group of people
and then they just came back again. But one thing about this whole thing is there should be a leader to this. Somebody should be behind them. Somebody should lead them. And somebody should be, in the front in terms of agitations and things
That's
like
what I'm
that.
saying.
And then you just disappear and then come back again and then say you're back.
And remember that when they appeared, some years ago, right, the governor of the state then, Mbadnuju, actually endorsed their presence. But this time around, we've not heard from Obiano that he has allowed Bakassi boys to reappear on the streets of Oka to do whatever security, plan that they have in mind. So it is confusing, because...
Talking of Bakassi boys, there used to be Bakassi boys in Borno State too.
No, every state has its own,
and
its
there are
own
indications,
boys under
that
different
when
names.
Bakassi boys in Borno went underground, they metamorphosed into part of what became Boko Haram.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, sir.
The other area of concern is relating to the concerns expressed by the Governors Forum. The People's Democratic Governors Forum have met in Akwa Ibom, and they are lamenting that the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, is starving states and local governments of funds. In the communique which they issued and read by the Governor of Sokoto, Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, they expressed alarm that NNPC's operations are opaque, and citing that recently the NNPC as an organization refused to remit its contributions to the Federation account, thereby starving state and local government of funds. In another development, the Governors Forum are required to meet today, and they are to look at the initiative to further enhance the autonomy required of the legislature at the state level and the judiciary. You recall that JUSUN and the Legislative Union had been on strike, the call of their strike just last week, and they are expected, in fact, to resume today. So the governors are now trying to give flesh and authority to you remember the presidential order on the autonomy. They are now making initiatives to establish what has been described as state Financial Allocations Committee.
But in some quarters, questions are also being asked as to the necessity for a meeting, for governors to go carry out a constitutional thing. It is a constitutional matter that requires an endorsement by all. Does it really require a meeting to formally endorse, financial autonomy for legislature and judiciary? This is the big question.
Even out of that period and bio, there was not supposed to be any strike at all in the first instance, looking at Jusun and the staff of the Legislative House of Assembly in the states, because it's a constitutional issue. It's out there. But you see, Nigerians, they went on strike for over 65 days or more. They came back and the governors are... I mean, the protocol is becoming cumbersome and beyond comprehension sometimes.
Counterproductive. Counterproductive.
It's sad that democratically elected leaders who swore to defend the Constitution and uphold the Constitution are not upholding a constitutional clause that grants autonomy to the legislature at the state level, the judiciary. It's sad. And they now have to spend public taxpayers' money to grant what the Constitution, to authorize and allow what the Constitution has graciously provided for.
And I recall we had the governor of Plateau State on this very topic, Governor Lalong of Plateau State. He gave certain reasons, saying that perhaps there should be a services commission for legislature, for them to implement the financial autonomy. But one was asking, what necessity? The clerk of the House is the administrative head of the House of Assembly. Yes. Right, so if there's any kind of administration for the legislature at the state level, the clerk of the House takes responsibility. So having a service commission to be able to effect that perhaps is not understandable by many.
Those are operational modalities. Anyway, the other interesting story now is about the human interest story. A 76-year-old super polygamist. He had 39 wives. He died in India. He had 127 children and grandchildren. Zionagaka Chana is supposed to be a patriarch of what is believed to be one of the world's largest families. He suffered from diabetes and hypertension, and he died in hospital on Sunday.
Oh, that's sad, really. That's really sad. Bayo Atiobi, we really have to call it quits here. We have two topics to discuss today, so bear with us. We thank you so much for coming this morning.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow again. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria. We'll be back in a moment with more on this program. Stay with us.